Hello, this is Paula Jasmine, and today I'm going to be talking about transgender women in wrestling and how they can be used in by promoters and storylines. The video comes because of recent comments that I find out of people like Jim Cornette, Conan, and Disco Inferno. This is not related to the comment that Sean Morley said. I already did a video about that, and I don't disagree with his opinion completely. There's going to be focused more on like how to use transgender people in the storyline because to me it's surprising when they brought out the issue that, oh my gosh, we have transgender people, how should we use them, shall we book them to wrestle man or woman, and there I thought that this shouldn't be an issue but at this point, but apparently it is. So I'm going to be giving my perspective. A little bit about me. I have done wrestling, professional wrestling, since 1999, mostly in the independents. Um, Currently, I've been working in Massachusetts and New York. I wrestled, but I also began working as a referee in some promotions because honestly, I'm getting old and there's going to be a time that I'm going to be able to continue doing wrestling. So I'm looking to something that I could continue doing that is less stressful on my body. Um, I'm going to read the comments that Jim Cornette said, and then I'm going to go into a discussion. So Jim Cornette said that it seems that he's not happy with the way that AEW is using Nyla in the storyline. Um, he said the following. He said that she was born a man. It is an unfair advantage not only because of her size, but the fact that when it comes to down to it, in some people's mind, it's a man fighting a woman, which is obviously an unfair advantage. In other people's mind, it's not. There's a controversy, make something out of it. When you go train professional wrestler who can do this shit, and it's 100 pounds bigger than her opponents, then hammer down to her everybody, and etc. I'm not going to finish saying what he said because honestly, he said a perspective that he's talking about that, but that's already been told. When they hire Nyla Rose, they already admitted that she's trans. Everybody almost knows that she's trans. So like saying now on TV is not going to affect the character. The only part that I agree with him is her size. Nyla's a big woman, and that's pretty much what drive the story of her matches. She's a big woman, and whenever she fights another woman in the show, she is she has an advantage based on her size. It's like when Brock Lesnar wrestled Rey Mysterio in WWE. Brock Lesnar has a advantage in size compared to Rey Mysterio. So you got pretty much a story of the underdog trying to defeat the big monster, which is a story. And if you have two good workers, you can actually have a really good match that will still be believable to an extent. So so that's pretty much what you have right now. Um, Now, and let's say W and Nyla. When you look at WWE, in NXT, you have women like Jassy Gabbert, and you have women like Rhea Ripley. They are really tall too. And yes, you get the same story that of big woman versus small woman. This one is bigger and taller, so they have an advantage because of her size. Um, so yeah, it's nothing new, but people are losing it because Nyla happens to be trans. And to me, I don't think using a person backstory, whether they are, in this case, the person being trans, it's a good idea because you can only do that story for so long before people get bored about it, um, or you know, they are not going to like it, There's only so much you can do with it. Um, the best example of how I think you can do a story is focus on the characters and the other on the gimmick of or on the character of Nyla Rose as a wrestler. Focus on her character and her gimmick and how it interacts with everybody else that is um, in that division. For example, in the series Supergirl, you have a transgender character named Nia Nal, and she's transgender. In I've been watching the series for a while, and I can tell, and I can say that she being trans is not what drives the story right now. It's her interaction with everybody else, her life as a superhero, and being part of the team of Supergirl. And but there was only one episode where they did a little bit of her backstory as a trans person, and that's it. It was only one episode. That's it. That's all they did. So you don't need to focus a story of a transgender wrestler um, based on the fact that they're transgender, because there's only so much that they can do. Even me as a wrestler right now, when I came out, I did a little bit of I used a little bit of my story of me being trans and going through the acceptance process as part of the wrestling storyline. But it, after that, I was like, well, what I'm going to do now? So I developed, and I decided to use other things that I do in my life. I can juggle, and so I decided to use my skills with the whip, and I created my gimmick to be like kind of like a circus ringmaster, and and that's what I portray. I'm a circus ringmaster that is here to showcase how amazing I am, and because I'm a big woman too, so I'm a big woman. I'm strong, and whenever I do a move, I'm going to sell the fact that I am big and strong, and I'm entertaining all of the fans in that arena. That's my storyline that I want to tell. I try to stay away from me being trans because I don't want to be that the driving force of a story in the ring, because I don't want to deal with people's negativity, and I don't want to deal with the fans uh, harassing me or crossing the line of just booing me for my actions in the ring and turning it into something deeply personal. And that's why I don't like the idea that Jim Cornette is saying. But at the same time, AEW already um, it is known for a lot of wrestling fans that idolize trans, and that's why you see all the feedback from fans that don't agree with her um, being trans, or don't understand transgender people. That's why they bash her a lot online, because that was said. If she probably haven't said that, people will be questioning that, which that has happened. Like even if as a trans person, like I remember one time in 2015, I was doing a wrestling show in Vermont, and there was never mention of me being transgender. But as soon as I arrived there to that ring, one person decided to start um, yelling at me because of my gender. Oh, she began saying, "Oh, you're a man, blah blah blah," and she was fierce on that. And what I did was like the right thing to do. I was working as a heel, so for me it was like, what? And even there was one point that I went to a lady in the crowd, and I told her like, I can be whatever you want me to be, a man or a woman, and I continued doing my match. But I used that. Um, she gave me that. I decided to use it. Um, to generate a reaction from the fans in attendance. But I would have preferred not to, you know. But at the time, I wasn't doing the circus gimmick, so I decided to just go with it because, it's that lady was just making my life easier in generating heat in that match. But I don't feel like it should be used. Being transgender shouldn't be used as a driving force in a storyline, especially because transgender people experience a lot of discrimination in real life. There's transgender people that experience unemployment. That's a big issue in the transgender community, and harassment from people. In and 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 using that in a storyline is just way more um will put a lot of transgender people at risk more than the perspective of this man that they are like, oh well, transgender people should be more honest about that. No, that you know what? No, you know, yeah. Accept the fact we do exist. We're going to compete against women. There are rules that sport organizations have put in place. You are just choosing to ignore it. But I feel like wrestling should focus more on the characters and the gimmicks, not whether a person is transgender or not. And that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Anyway, For now, peace out, and if you have a comment, feel free to make the comment.